Many Christian musicians, when they play their instrument, it applies to those who play instruments here too, I don't know how it is. They are more conscious of how well they play, more than Jesus is here, He must be worshipped. A lot of Christian song leaders are more conscious of how well they sing, more than Jesus is here, He must be glorified. It's very difficult. The followers of Jubal are in the millions. Music made them drift away from God. The world is full of Christian churches where people spend more hours in choir practice than in prayer. What does it prove? Is it good to sing well? Sure. But not to such a point. It's like saying, is it good to have good sheep? Yeah, sure. Provided you give the best to God. I'm not saying we should have skinny sheep. I'm not saying we should have bad music or bad preaching. I mean, I've been preaching for 42 years and I have sought with all of my heart, God is my witness, to preach the best possible way. And I put all my energy and mind, and I said, God gave me a good mind. I said, I'm not going to use it for the world, I'm going to use it for God. So I believe that if God's given people ability to play music or sing, they must use it 100% for God, but not to glorify themselves, like all the people in the world. Not to make money like a lot of Christian musicians do. If we make money through our preaching or our music, that is a way of worshiping ourselves. Yeah. That's why in this church, those who preach don't get 1 rupee. Not me, not anybody else. Because we seek to worship God, not ourselves. We're different. We don't do anything for money. Money is the great alternative master to God. I want to ask you, would you do things for money that you wouldn't do for God? Ask yourself. Would you do something more wholeheartedly if you were paid for it? Would you serve in the church more wholeheartedly at conference time or some other time? Would you volunteer for some jobs in the church if you were paid for it? But you don't volunteer for it because you're not paid for it. When will you have faith? Not in 100 years. You can sit here like a religious cane for years. I think we need to get a little light on ourselves. God is my witness. I'll never do anything for money that I wouldn't do for God. Freely. God is first in my life. I'm not ashamed to say it. He's been first in my life for many years, and He'll always be. Even my wife knows that she's second. And that's why our relationship is so happy, because she's second. I don't want to be first in my wife's life. We'll have a miserable marriage then. Because God is first and I'm second, we have a happy marriage. It's the secret of everything. Teach your children to put God first. Not anything, not their job, not their money, nothing. Don't rejoice if your children have got good jobs. Rejoice if they put God first in their life. Then everything will go well. Otherwise, it'll go well in terms of the world. They may be religious. They bring an offering to God every Sunday, like Cain. Cain also brought an offering to God. If Cain were living today, he'd be here Sunday morning. Sure. He wouldn't be like the atheists who don't pay any attention to God. Cain and Abel both sit in the church Sunday morning. The difference is one gives his best, the other gives an offering. Do you give an offering, or do you give the best? That's the test. When we think of how much the Lord has done for us, what is it that makes people give their best? It's gratitude. What would you do if you went to a doctor and he diagnosed you and said, your case is so bad with cancer or AIDS or whatever it is, that there's no hope for you? You may live 6 weeks. That's it. And then you go to another doctor. He says, I can treat you and you can be totally cured. And he cures you totally, that the trace of that disease is gone. What would you do to that doctor? I've seen people who appreciate those doctors so much, they would give them gifts, and every time they see them, they would value them, respect them. How many people treat God like that? How many of you feel that God has done for you more than any doctor could ever do for you? Cured you from a disease worse than leprosy or AIDS or cancer. I'll tell you, that's what made me give my life to the Lord. I was so grateful, more grateful than any human being can ever be to a doctor, that he did so much for me. And I've thought, if people can be so grateful to a human doctor, how much more grateful I should be to Almighty God, who did so much for me. Do you have that sense of gratitude to God? You know, that's the first lesson we need to learn. Abel was grateful. Oh God, the very fact that you allowed me to even be born on this earth and to live, I'm grateful. My flocks prospered because of you. My flocks could have been sick and died. How can I ever think that my cleverness made my sheep and my goats so healthy? It was you, God. I give it to you. Whereas Cain felt, well, I worked hard and I got a good crop. Just like some of you say, I worked hard and I earned so much money. It's your hard work that got you a raise in your salary, is it? Well, that's why you're like Cain. How many of you, when you get a raise in your salary and you get a large salary, acknowledge, oh God, that's not me. That's not my cleverness. I'm a nobody. I don't deserve 1/10 of what I earn. It's you. It's you, Lord. Every bit of money I've ever earned in my life through the work I do, I say, Lord, it's you. It's not me. I deserve to be a pauper, but it's you. And I'll prove that I believe that, by giving you the best. Do you give the best of the way of what God has blessed you with to Him? Or do you put an offering to God? You talk about faith. You don't understand the first thing about faith. And you probably never will, because you worship yourself so much. You are so clever. You are so smart. And that's why you earn so much. You worked hard and you got some degree. And you are capable and you are smart and you can speak English so well and so many things. God have mercy on you. You're no better than any heathen, except that you name the name of Christ. I want to tell you, you're a follower of Cain, who brings an offering to God. Don't think you'll be listed in Hebrews 11, men of faith like Abel who gave their best to God.